All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me. I'm out here in Joshua Tree and we're doing some astrophotography. You're a beautiful person, you're a good person, and if no one has told you that today, let me be the first one to tell you that. All right, so today I have the Canon EOS R and I have my trigger here because I use some strobes out in the desert. But mainly the thing I wanted to tell you about is this lens right here. This lens is the 14mm L series lens that I rented because I wanted something wide out for the desert. So this is an amazing lens. You can kind of see the fisheye type of glass that it has on it. And so I wanted to make sure that I had something wide enough to cover the Milky Way. And that's the challenge out here is the Milky Way is huge. It takes up virtually the entire night sky. All right, it'll be interesting to see how much I remember automatically from doing astrophotography in Joshua Tree and making a video about it. And I know I'm gonna add some things, turn off image stabilization. On the lens, there's an image stabilization switch and you turn that off for long exposures. So I'm gonna make sure I do that. The rule of 500, we're gonna use manual focus. Obviously we're going out Joshua Tree, so we're gonna be in a really dark place. I think I'm gonna try some panoramas and stitch a couple images together. And also I rented a 14mm L series lens, so I'm eager to try that out. So I'm excited about that, yeah. And then, it's summer. It's June 1 tomorrow, so I'm excited about that. All right, we're out here AM PM. We just stopped. A little break, stretch the legs, get some gas, get some coffee. That's what I need right now, but it looks like a clear night. It looks like a beautiful night, and we're gonna get some good astrophotography. Let's go. Alright, so a little bit of different vlogging tool here. I got the Sony RX100 VI and yeah, we're here, White Tank Campground, and we're about to hike out to the what's it called? The Twin Arch? The Big Arch? Arch Rock. We're going to head out to Arch Rock. So, alright, let's go. First goal is to get a lens that was wide enough to capture everything I wanted to capture, because I want some foreground interest as well as the Milky Way. And last time I had a 10-18, and what I found it wasn't sharp enough, it wasn't a good enough lens, it didn't bring in enough light for me to even focus on the stars the way that I needed to for these long exposures. But this is amazing. This is a great piece of glass, and it's like $2,000 new, so I don't know how soon I'll be doing that. And it does tend to pull the edges, and it does really get a fisheye type of distortion almost. But I'm thinking in these panoramas that I'm going to do, I'm going to stitch these together, so I'm thinking it's going to be okay. So I'll show you some of the shots that I got right now. And the second thing I wanted to share with you is that I use the Godox X Pro trigger, and I used it with a couple of different lights. One is I used it with the V860 flash right here, and I have the Magmod sphere on it. And you'll notice this little tripod here, which is, you know, it's kind of like a Gorilla Pod. I'll put the link below. But it's flexible, it's handy. But however, I found that I did not have the ability to put the flash where I wanted. I'm used to light stands, I'm used to getting elevation, and here I was really dependent on finding a rock or something that I could bounce this on, and it really wasn't where I needed it. So like when I shot the arch rock, I went up under the rock and climbed in and laid this underneath the arch, pointing upwards to get a little light in there, using the X Pro trigger to flash that in the middle of a long exposure. And actually I just held this off my hand, did the long exposure, and then sometime during that I just hit the flash to trigger that. The other light that I used, the Godox AD200. Now this is an amazing strobe, and I kind of use this to balance out the other one and add a little bit of pop. So took a portrait of the Milky Way with a Joshua tree in the front, so I used the V860 to light the front of the Joshua tree, and I put this in back just to kind of give it a rim light. Like you would do a portrait. And we're good. I had this one on Group B and the V860 on Group A, and I could adjust the power for each one based on how I dialed in those groups. So those were the kind of my goals coming out here, is one, just to get a really cracking image. Cracking, is that something we say? To get a really great image of the Milky Way. It was critical to have the 14mm lens to do that. And then I also wanted some foreground interest, so I brought some strobe lights to light that up in the middle of the long exposure. So those are a couple things I did differently. Also, you have to remember to turn off image stabilization on your lens. That's something I forgot in the last video. Turns out this one is not an image stabilized lens, and I actually forgot to check for that. So I lucked out. It's about an hour from dawn. You probably can't tell, but there's kind of a faint blue light coming over the horizon back there.
In the suburbs, where we placed our minds. You may try and turn all the switches on if you need to shed a light.
Alright, so I went exploring and I caught the arch rocket as the sun kind of was passing through the opening, and I got a couple of cool shots in there. And then I hiked up a little bit further looking for other viewpoints, and I kind of got stuck in the slot canyon. But yeah, I'm gonna make it out and find Pablo. Alright, let's go. Right there is Arch Rock where I started. I was on the other side and I went that way. If I can make it around these rocks, I can just go back flat way around. Okay, at last I see there's Pablo's bags, my GoPro, and I just slipped a couple times, braced myself with my arm, my shoulder hurts, and I just glad that I'm almost back. I gotta be careful though. I always take the high ground.